So you're going to vote for a pay raise of 75% for yourself,
I just hope that goes away. I think they need to withdraw both of those pieces of legislation for the time being. I have my own opinions about it, but ultimately...
You're talking about the gun legislation, the gun safety legislation?
No, the pay raise.
Well, that too.
Or both pay raises?
Well, all three.
Which of those you want to tackle?
People have some really interesting opinions about public service. And is it a part-time job, or is it just something you do as a public service? I guess that's the first question. And then how people feel about the money we get paid, comes down to that. Councilman Green's it's a stipend to put gas in your car so you can come to these meetings and vote. I'm I think I get quite a few more phone calls than that. I think that we probably clock at least 30 or 40 hours a week doing stuff for council. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a matter of, what does the public want for us? And what are they willing to pay? And it does limit the people who are able to have the flexibility needed, the kind of jobs where they have the flexibility to do council.
What do you mean by that?
So,
I'm looking at the people on the council.
You can't work.
You have a minister. You have a real estate guy.
Two.
You have a lawyer. Another real estate guy. The point being, you've
got people who either set their own hours, work for themselves, or have an employer that will let them have the flexibility to do the job. Because you also have someone that works in the hospital, works for in the corporate administrative side of a hospital, so they are allowed to have that flexibility to do what they need to do. But also, there's certain things where ethically you might be bound to not do it. Remember before, deciding that I was going to do real estate, I worked for the library. So I actually got an attorney general ruling that said that it was looked at as dual office holding, even though the libraries were parish and this was city. So there are people that are is she going to quit the council? Is she going to quit the library? And I'm I'm quitting the library.
Let me throw something else at you, because this is on the others. This is the mayoral salary.
Down to the last couple of minutes, I apologize.
Yeah, and we're going to miss the gun thing. Darn.
I think we should pull the legislation for salaries until we can actually do right by public safety.
Okay.
I think that's really all it comes down to. That's the best way for it to be handled.
Okay.
And I've gotten a lot of emails that pretty much back that, so I hope this goes away.
Councilman Nickelson has changed his gun ordinance. Did that make it more palatable to you?
Look, I've got a few people that are saying that this is the right thing to do, and talking to a friend that lives in Colorado right now and saying that they do have certain legislation that is similar as far as the accountability of the gun owner. But I've even talked to police kind of off the record that are how are we going to enforce this? You're putting more on the victim than you are on the bad guy. Why don't you give us the resources we need to actually go after the bad guy? And I think that that's really where it needs to be. Mm-hmm. Growing up in a gun family, okay. I think that it's the consequence of leaving your gun unsecured in your car is the gun being stolen. That's the consequence. Do
you have any thoughts, any ideas, any theories on why he changed? I understand why he changed the fine from $1,000 to $500, but the sort of insertion.
Oh, and that was the thing about Colorado, is that the consequence was so puny. The fine was like so puny that it was whatever.
But the insertion in the legislation of the word unlocked, I just thought that was real interesting. Huh?
I just keep picturing our police officers having to go car to car and seeing if there's guns in cars and then testing the doors, and I'm not buying that. And I think that trying to emotionally manipulate us by using certain data is just not... It's not working for me. And I've actually shared with Councilman Nickelson not data, but solutions that have worked in other areas, including Lafayette. And in Lafayette, they did a PSA. They did a marketing campaign to get people to understand the consequence or the dangers of leaving your car unlocked, leaving a gun in the car, having it stolen, and how it gets involved in further crime. I think if people understand that, they could actually behave accordingly. That marketing campaign worked in Lafayette to decrease the numbers. We should be looking at that, not trying to legislate people. It strikes me as nanny state.